It was a night of horror.
I had to leave her.
She lost her mom, 2 pregnant sisters, and more family in the fire on this night.
Relatives, fearing the worst, have gone to a nearby armory to identify their loved ones.
The Beverly Hills Supper Club fire, May 28, 1977. Hosting stars like Frank Sinatra and Dean Martin. That night, the club's main showroom was filled with guests awaiting for performance by singer and television personality John Davidson. But as laughter and music filled the air, a hidden catastrophe was brewing behind the walls. Around 8 p.m., smoke was first noticed near the Zebra Room.
Club employees discovered a fire in the Zebra Room off the main area. It was electrical in origin and had apparently been burning for some time in the concealed spaces behind the ceilings and walls.
The fire spread rapidly through the walls, feeding on the building's highly flammable materials.
At the Zebra Room, the fire that had been building up behind the facade, by that time had built up so much heat that the room and all its furnishings literally exploded into flames, sending dense smoke and hot gases flying down the corridor to the cabaret room, which was packed.
By the time the staff realized the severity of the fire, it was already too late.
The word never got to the cabaret room until sometime later when a busboy made the announcement.
2 comedians were performing, and another busboy went up and grabbed a mic from them and told the people that the room was on fire, not to panic and to leave, and they laughed at him. They thought it was part of the act.
The club had a history of electrical issues. Decades of poorly maintained wiring, combined with overcrowding and lack of proper fire safety measures, made the building a ticking time bomb.
I couldn't help but recall a comment from one of the teachers that was invited to go, but refused to go because, quote, it was a fire trap.
Within a minute, however, the diners began smelling smoke. Then they panicked and surged toward the exits, or at least to where they thought the doors were located.
The club's layout, a maze of rooms with limited exits, became a deadly obstacle for patrons trying to escape. Employees frantically tried to evacuate the showroom, but panic overtook the crowd. In the confusion, many rushed towards the front entrance, creating a bottleneck. Others became disoriented in the thick smoke, collapsing from the thick fumes before they could reach safety.
Still can't believe it.
She lost her mom, 2 pregnant sisters, and more family in the fire on this night in 1977.
We all turned left. My sister was still hanging on me, hung on to me to the very end. And I pushed the door open, and I went out. And I was the last one that got out that door.
Firefighters arrived to a scene of pure chaos.
Then Southgate Fire Chief Dick Riesenberg was the first firefighter on the scene.
I thought, wow, this is a big one. This is the big one.
Within minutes, he found out just how big when the first firefighter inside the massive club came back with shocking news.
And he said, you better go out and tell the chiefs what's going on here. We got people dead all over the joint.
Captain Peter Sabino, a 22-year veteran of the Cincinnati Fire Department, was in the main corridor waiting to get into the cabaret room. Sabino and his family got out safely. Then, Sabino went back and helped in the rescue effort.
I had a hold of a woman, and just about at the time when I had as much as I could take, and I had to leave her. That's the big thing.
But there wasn't anything that you could have done?
No, really. Just had to get out. That was it.
Flames shot through the roof, and desperate guests smashed windows in a last-ditch effort to flee. Shockingly, no sprinkler system had been installed, and many exits were poorly marked.
Firemen quickly abandoned any hope of saving the building and concentrated on getting victims out and reviving them. The effort continued as the fire spread throughout the building, consuming virtually the entire structure. Finally, at around 10:20, all firefighting and rescue personnel were ordered out, and the true dimensions of the tragedy began sinking in.
165 people lost their lives, making it one of the deadliest nightclub fires in American history.
John Davidson, who escaped the fire, still won't talk about it. His music arranger was among the fatalities. Davidson was among hundreds of people who showed up at the hospitals that night for word on loved ones.
Many bodies were found huddled near the exits, just steps from survival.
The Fort Thomas Armory became the temporary morgue.
But the one impression that will last the longest with me, at least, is that of all of the families of the deceased coming in and going through rows of bodies to identify their loved ones.
All night and all day, relatives, fearing the worst, have gone to a nearby armory to identify their loved ones.
The things I remember most about that day include the long line of hearses that came up to the back door here.
Survivors and victims' families pushed for reforms, leading to significant changes in fire safety regulations nationwide.
That memorial would include the names of the victims, a list of local first responder units that responded to the fire, and a list of the federal and state fire safety regulations that were implemented as a result of the fire.
To this day, the Beverly Hills Supper Club fire remains a haunting example of how negligence and disregard for safety can lead to devastating consequences. The once glamorous venue was reduced to ashes, but its legacy lives on as a stark reminder of the cost of cutting corners when lives are at stake.
All firefighting and rescue personnel were ordered out, and the true dimensions of the tragedy began sinking in. It was a night of horror,